Whether you're working on the degree or you've just graduated, you're probably wondering what's next.
Well, don't worry. We were wondering exactly the same thing.
From auditions to young artist training programs and beyond, we've been there and we got your back.
This is Between the Notes, real talk for singers chasing the dream.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Between the Notes. Today, we are talking about all things social media, and we have with us our guest, Madeleine Lyon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, the sun's up in LA, right?
It is. It's a little cloudy today, but hopefully it'll be good tanning weather later. We'll see.
There you go. Awesome.
Well, good. Well, as we were just recently discussing, Madeleine and I met in Houston. She was a student at Rice University, and we both studied with the same voice teacher, Stephen King.
Yes.
And we were having some type of celebration with friends, and I'm so glad that you could be on here and join us, because I tell you, I remember that evening, but I was just like scrolling through TikTok or whatever it was that I was looking at, and I thought I heard this like, "Hi, I'm an opera singer," and I was like, "Oh my God, I know that girl!" But it was great because I didn't. It wasn't like I looked you up. It just kind of came across the feed, right? And I saw it, and I was like, "This is so great." Mm-hmm. And then as Brian and I started talking to putting this podcast together, I was like, "Oh yeah, we got to talk about this stuff at some point, and we got to bring her on because I thought it was such a great presence in that Instagram, TikTok, social media world."
Yeah, and I really love what you're doing because, like, we all know Nadine and Lisette and Rachel Willis Sorensen and all these people, and it's fun, and that's great, and there's fun stuff. But they are kind of, they're not where our audience is, and not that you are either, but you're closer to them, and so I think it's really your perspective is going to be really helpful for all of us.
Okay, so the bio of Madeleine, for anyone who doesn't know who this woman is. Praised for her striking visual presence and glorious voice, mezzo-soprano Madeleine Lyon is enchanting audiences on the operatic stage. She's a recent graduate of the Domingo Coburn-Stein Young Artist Program at the Los Angeles Opera, where she was seen in El Último Sueño de Frida y Diego by Gabriel Lena Frank, as well as Zemlinsky's Der Zwerg. Also with LA Opera, Miss Lyon performed as Eliza in Lucia in a new production co-produced with Metropolitan Opera, Bianca in The Rape of Lucretia, Genevieve in the Old, am I saying that right?
Mm-hmm.
In Impressions of Pelias, Belitha in Moses by Henry Morricone, and covered the role of Cherubino in Le Nozze di Figaro. As a girding young artist with Opera Theatre St. Louis, she covered the role of Sesto and performed the role of Nireno in Handel's Julius Caesar. As a fellow at the Ravinia Steens Music Institute, she performed many recitals and concerts. Notably, Miss Lyon was featured in a masterclass led by prolific conductor Marin Alsop, as well as on a jazz concert curated by Grammy Award-winning singer Kurt Elling. Previous roles include Zerlina in Don Giovanni, the title role in Ravel's L'Enfant et le Sortilège, and Tollertzegner in Missy Mazzoli's Proving Up. That's one of my favorite operas of the, let's say, recent decade or two or whatever it was. I am obsessed with that show. It is so cool.
Yeah,
equally passionate is Miss Lyon about oratorio and concert work, and has been the mezzo soloist in Mozart Requiem, Handel's Messiah, Bach's St. Matthew Passion, and selections from the Verdi Requiem. Recently, she performed Zemlinsky's Opus 13 with James Conlon for the Ziering-Conlon Initiative for Recovered Voices. She is also an avid painter and loves to spend time with her gray tabby cat, Pickle. Pickle. That's the best name for a cat ever. She holds a master's and bachelor's degree from Rice University. And as I was saying before, we studied with the same voice teacher, Stephen King. Right?
Don't leave me out, guys. Don't leave me out. Okay?
Hey, listen, I'm telling you, dude, go over to Houston, get a lesson. So as we were talking, when we all started getting into different, for me, it was Facebook. It was like, oh, wow, okay. I think for our generation. But talk about how you started getting into social media, and then when you decided to start becoming like a creator.
Okay, so I definitely, I got a phone in the 7th grade, so I'm kind of that generation where, I missed MySpace, and then once I got a phone and got to middle school, I was like, Facebook, here I come. And so I always had Facebook, Instagram, all of that, Vine, back when, rest in peace.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Those are 6-second videos, right?
Yes.
8-second, I think. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I've always had social media, but it's been, I would say, when I was in college, when I really started to try and curate or be ask my friends, will you take photos of me for my Instagram, things like that.
Right.
And only I would say during COVID is when I kind of was like, I could be a content creator. as we all kind of like wanted side quests during COVID. We had nothing else to
Sure.
do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been until recently, I would say in the last year or so, where I really started to take it more seriously and hope of bringing opera not only as like an interesting niche to get me into people's like For You pages and stuff like that, but also just to bring opera to like newer audiences.
Yeah,
Love it. Love
totally.
it.
Well, so for our audience, what are some of the things that singers need to know about social media?
So social media can be a really great tool for not only like curating your brand or having different companies like find you, but just getting your voice out there, like literally posting singing videos and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It can also be a deterrent, so just like don't post anything too crazy, as we all kind of
Right.
but yeah, I do think that social media, it also, what I'm focused on more so than trying to further my opera career through social media, I focused on furthering opera through social media, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
because I do think that's kind of where opera is headed, is we have to find new audiences and reach like younger people.
Of course.
Yeah, I definitely think social media just will get you to a wider audience, which is like what we all want.
Absolutely.
And I mean, how do you personally decide on which platforms you post? Are you focusing on one more than the other?
I definitely love TikTok, and that's just, I think personally, because, well, I do think TikTok, you can definitely reach the largest audience, in my opinion. There's a bigger chance for going viral, and I do think it's just a little more casual, and so you can be more of yourself, more funny, whereas Instagram, I think maybe more companies and managers and casting directors will be looking at Instagram more. So I think I try to make it a little more I would say professional. You don't have to be professional, but it's definitely, it's a little less just like, hey guys, here's me doing a mukbang or like a dance.
Right.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think that distinction is really helpful for us and for a lot of people. I mean, maybe, like I said, everybody who was watching this is like, well, of course. But I think that the fact that you said that companies and managers are more focused on Instagram, I just think that that's really good for people to keep in mind, because later on the episode, we're going to talk about it. Is a website obsolete at this point? Do we not need to spend all that money to host and get pictures? And so getting back to the content stuff, and you were just saying like kind of what not to put on there, like what do you keep for yourself? What's more TikTok? What's more this? How do you make that? Like, even, do you just like, does it inspiration just kind of come to you like, oh, today I'm going to go do this? And so, or do you really like kind of may have a plan or like a strategy of like, okay, so I'm going to go find this cool place and get some shots here. And what do you think?
I definitely think I should be planning it out more, because that is like, I think good, but I think I know that so much of what we do as opera singers, like we take for granted, but like, for example, my mom, I was FaceTiming her yesterday and I'm covering people at LA Opera. And so just when they're like 5 minutes till show, places please, like Miss blah, blah, mom's like, oh my God, that's so cool. And I'm like, what? Right. But like but people don't know that like all that's going down, or anyways. And so I kind of try to record basically like every little like aspect of my life, which sounds crazy, but if I'm just walking to the opera house or in my dressing room, I just take like a video and just kind of tell people what I'm doing, or I'll do a voiceover later, because why not just get as much content as you can, and then you can kind of pare it down later when you're making your videos. So I kind of just record things and then see from there what I want to make of the video, or how it could all come together in like a day in my life or whatever.
Yeah. I think I saw a cool one. Yeah, I think I saw a cool one was like an opening of a show at LA Opera, and you were like on your walk there, walking up the staircase and run into people. And I was like, this is great. This is totally fun, because when I was doing digital media and social media, I mean, I paid somebody to do it, and help me out because of where I was in my career, but they would come up with these ideas and I'm like, that's lame. That's not me. And I think these, the ones who really capture it well are the ones who are most authentically themselves, and like somehow strike that balance between what other people are interested in and what is actually authentically you.
Yeah.
Well,
100%.
it's so similar to our singing, right? Like when we walk into an audition or when we walk out on stage to perform a role, we're always being told by directors or teachers or whatever, it's like, tell your story, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, what the heck does my story have to do with Rigoletto or
Right.
whatever, right?
Right.
But it's like I had this like light bulb moment. I was born without my right hand, and I had this like light bulb moment when I was like, I don't want to wear a prosthesis anymore. That's not who I am. I'm going to tell my story through all these different roles. And I think the way that we're talking about social media is the exact same thing. It's like if you're trying to capture a moment that you think that maybe other people would be cool, it's like, no, find the things that you love and that you think are great and beautiful, and then capture that. And then otherwise you're like, it's like you're fake. You know what I mean?
Exactly. No, and you can read it so quickly. Like, it's so lame when you see people doing this and you're like, girl, I know that's not you. Like, what are you doing? And it is, we can all tell. And so I think, you definitely have to find what makes you you, as lame as that sounds, but like, it's true. And then obviously you can build off of that and be like, well, this could be cool for a video. Like, I've been wanting to go to this restaurant or do X, Y, or Z anyways. I think that's fine. But yeah, there's always an audience, especially that's what I love about TikTok. There's like, it's so easy to find your people, and like there is really a lid for every pot. Like, I sometimes make mukbang videos and I have friends that are like, that is the most disgusting thing. I hate hearing people chew. Like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, I hear your mouth noise. I want to watch. Like, it's so weird, but like there really is. There's a thing for everybody. So just do your thing and someone will love it.
I have a daughter who is in 8th grade, and I'll walk into her room. I'm like, what are you watching? She's like, oh, these are mukbang videos. I got to show her your stuff.
Yes. Oh my God.
I have like no idea what you guys are talking about right now. And I'll just ask my children when I pick them up from school today, hey, can you tell me what this is? And they're like, oh, of course, Dad. Millie showed us.
Oh, yeah.
That's so awesome.
So my next question, I mean, other than this sort of inauthentic, sort of fake whatever, what other things do you kind of try to stay away from?
So I definitely try to stay away from anything that I think would make me not like hireable, which sounds fake, like we were talking about. But I mean, I love to curse in my personal life, but I think I'm not going to post something and be like, F this, F that, F you.
Right.
Like, opera is still very conservative. And so you never know, like, if you don't want anything that's going to make people think, well, are they going to be like appropriate in front of donors or whatever?
Absolutely. You're so right. Yeah.
And so I try to stay away from that. Or I feel like I know a lot of people who post like complaining or things that they like hate about opera.
Right.
Great. And I definitely think there's so many things that this industry needs to like evolve. But I do think, just keeping it positive and fun. And there is a time and place for posting, like, if something's happening like politically or whatever, but I do think mostly I just want to be where anyone would see it and be like, that girl seems nice, she seems fun to work with, and she'll be hardworking, we can put her in front of people and she won't like embarrass us or the company. And I definitely think if you're like a Nadine Sierra or someone like that and you have a big platform and you're very established, you do have more leeway to kind of do what you want in some. But I think especially for people who are coming up and younger singers, we have to, kind of pay our dues a little bit and just be a little more careful.
So to that point, I mean, have you noticed companies actually paying attention to social media presence and hiring or not based on that? I
have definitely noticed a few examples. I have friends who a casting director just ran across her profile and she had posted a video, and they just so happened to be like looking for a cover for a certain role that she was singing an aria from, and she got a job out of it. And so I don't know how it happens, but it definitely does happen. So you might as well.
It's good to know. I mean, because in our minds, that's the reason why we're like, hey, we're spreading the word. Like you said, we're trying to push opera to younger audiences. We're trying to obviously promote ourselves, and we're all, so it's great to know that it does work.
So tell us a little bit about where you got the idea for your handle, and we know what it means, but other people might not. So tell us why you picked that and what does it mean?
Okay, Don't Clap Twice is my handle for everything. And I literally, as I said, I had a phone in the 7th grade, and that's when I got an Instagram, and I don't even know why. I guess I like wanted to start a band. I was like obsessed with the Jonas Brothers and Hannah Montana and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I don't even listen to this band, Never Shout Never. I don't know if y'all remember them, but I was like,
No.
that's a really cool name. They were like emo, like kind of whatever indie. But I was like,
Right.
that's a cool name for a band. So Never Shout Never, Don't Clap Twice. Like it's literally so random. It means absolutely nothing. But I do know that so many men have DM'd me and been like, what happens if I clap twice? I'm like, bro, that is an
Oh man.
Literally, I don't know why. So
Oh my gosh.
I thought you were alluding to like you know, you don't clap like until the end of the art song thing or something like that. I thought it was so much more like, you know, kind of, oh, look at this, it's double entendre here. And she's like, nah, it's totally just fun. I love that.
I like that.
Well, you know, it's like sometimes somebody hits a big high note. You're like, no. Wait till the end for,
Yeah.
you know, to clap, right?
Yes,
Unless you're in Italy, then you can do bravo whenever you want.
do whatever.
Sure.
Throw
sure,
stuff,
sure.
you know, totally.
Okay, so we've talked about TikTok and Instagram and, of course, Facebook. Of course, I remember when it was Friendster and then MySpace and then Facebook. going way back. But, you know, one of the things I remember when I was a graduate student at Indiana University, they gave us free server space. So if we wanted to create our own website, we could create it. Now, back then, it was just like the most simplistic text kind of thing. If you figured out how to put a picture in, it was like, dude, how'd you get the picture on it? That's amazing. But of course now, at least for the last, 20 years or so, it's been very standard that singers need to have websites so that you can direct, whether you're trying to acquire a manager or you're cold calling or emailing a company, you can, you know, make reference to that. But in your experience and in your generation and the ones to follow you, I mean, has Instagram kind of almost replaced the website in some ways?
I don't necessarily think so yet. I think maybe we're heading that way, but I do think it is still necessary because there are people who exist out there with no social media, but everyone has Google. So if you want to Google someone, and that's the easiest way to contact them. And so I've gotten gigs just based on people messaging me on the contact page of my website. And
that's great.
It's great, yeah. And so I think that Instagram is kind of becoming that in a way, but again, just as many ways as you can put yourself out there.
Yeah.
Why not? And so I think a website is people still use it a lot.
Just having the pictures and the content, what do you think people respond to as far as like likes and like, you know, all that kind of stuff? Is it, you know, the opera stuff get more, or like the stuff on the street get more likes?
I actually found that my opera stuff does get more, and I think that it is, I think, actually, because people are really interested in what we do. Like, literally, like, oh, like, you're an opera singer, like, what do you do? And I'm like, girl, I sing opera, but they have no idea what that means.
Right.
One way, and I'm like, no, like, I would.
But they see it, they see a dress or they see a gown and they see like, whoa, that looks awesome. Like, that's super cool, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, for our younger viewers, I mean, if you're in college, I mean, I think you can, we're talking about websites. I mean, you can absolutely find a way to create something that's aesthetically beautiful, that has photos. And even if you're about to do your first production, I mean, you can list things and write, as we said in our earlier episodes about bios and resumes, you can add those elements to your website. And I don't think anybody is going to expect you to be further along than you already are.
Right.
It's like wherever you are is where you are. And I think that the goal with all of this, whether it's websites, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, is to be authentically yourself and to create something that is aesthetically beautiful to you and that you want to be your sort of thumbprint in that digital media world, right? So
100%.
So what do you think, for those people who know very, very little about social media, and I just want to try to include everyone here, right? What would you encourage them to think about if they really just haven't even figured out their own sort of journey within this yet?
Right. Well, going back to what you said about like your thumbprint and having your own brand, I definitely think that's like one of the biggest things is to think about who you are, what your voice type is. Maybe if you're young, you don't even know like what kind of rep you'll be singing, but you know what you're singing now and what you could maybe be hired for now.
Right.
And I definitely think like not even thinking about opera singers, but like Charlie XCX, like you look at her Instagram and you immediately know this girl's like, she's about fashion and partying and being young and crazy versus like Meghan Markle. It's like flowers baking and being a mom. But you know immediately when you look at that. And I think that that's something I could work on for my Instagram. But I think that's something.
I was just thinking the same thing. I'm like, mine is all over the place.
But I do think that that's something really helpful, especially if you're wanting to get casting directors or people like that looking at your website or your Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, as a pants roll mezzo, like mine is going to be different than a little maybe more edgier or whatever, than more masculine than or soprano. Like it just is really, you want to be true to yourself, but you also, we are brands. And so I think firstly thinking about that, and then also just like looking at people's accounts who you think are doing things well on the internet and who you like. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Like I'm obviously on TikTok a lot and I'm scrolling, which I'll just come across more content. But if that's not what you like to do and you're not really social media savvy, definitely find the opera singers or the pop stars or whoever you like. Look, see what they're doing, see what trends are going viral, and see how you can fit that into your own life and your own things. And even especially for younger singers, I fell into this trap, I think, that I never wanted to post because I was like, I'm not doing anything, nothing I'm doing is cool, like blah blah blah, I just have recitals or opera scenes or whatever. I definitely think the more you can put yourself out there, you can, if you have a beautiful info, like, or not infographic, but if you have a beautiful photo and you can put opera scenes, I'm singing this or that, or like, I know this, I have this recital, and you can post any of that on a website, like, that is worth its weight in gold. I truly think so. And I think you don't have to be, you know, making your debut at the Met in order to post about stuff or put yourself out there.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I agree 100% with that.
So let's wrap up, unfortunately, but leave us with the idea of like, where would you like to see this opera business that we're in go specifically with social media? Like what are the things that, I'm sure you've got some ideas, like, why don't they just do this? Yeah.
Oh, it's tricky because I think 100% like the future of opera lies in social media, especially in America where not government funded. And like, you know, it's not the same as Europe where people are just going to go to operas. I think we have to reach younger audiences. There's no other way. And I think social media is the first gateway into that. Yeah. And just more opera companies I see are doing it, posting like fun trends and stuff and hiring like younger social media, like content creators for their opera accounts. And I definitely think that's part of it. And showing people that opera is cool and it is crazy what we do with our voices. And I think it's also about showing people that the stories of opera are not just for old white people and rich people. Right. These stories very often like are featuring super like common themes that we can all relate to. Sure. I do need to make opera like not just putting Figaro like on the moon, but also like creating new stories people care about. Like we totally true. But I do think, it is about connecting to younger people, showing them that we're not just weird stuffy people, but we're also like normal and what we do is cool and that they'll love it. Like when we have the dress rehearsals at LA Opera and they invite the high school students, those kids are cheering so loud. Like it's great, right? Oh yeah. It's so much hope. They love it because it's like opera is not dead. Like it doesn't we just have to, you know, immerse ourselves into culture a little bit more, I think.
Sure. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for being our guest today. It's been such a pleasure to hear your insight and great advice for all of those out there looking to get started or to make slight shifts to what you're already doing. So thanks again. We really appreciate it. And make sure you subscribe and like these videos and head over to Don't Clap Twice to check out Madeleine's page. And we'll see you next time on Between the Notes.
See you soon.
Thanks for joining us on Between the Notes. Make sure you hit that subscribe button.
And join us next week for more behind-the-scenes stories, laughs, and operatic gold coming your way.